What is up, Raff Leaders? Welcome back to my channel. We're back at the East Bank Public Road. I'm on the overpass, the pedestrian overpass here at Eccles. And guess what? We're here to see the bridge. We want to know one of two things. Actually, we want to know two things. One is, why are there so many accidents on the bridge? And two, when are they going to complete this bridge? The bridge has not yet been completed, and I'm going to show you how I know that in a minute. We're going to go up close up to the bridge and see how the pedestrian access route is coming, whether they've completed that. And we're going to ask the question, why are there so many pileups? Recently, in the last week, there was a 5-car pileup, 5 or 6-car pileup. And in the last month or so, there have been at least 2 or 3 of those multi-vehicle accidents happening on the road. And I think it has to do with the design flaw in the bridge. I'm going to point that out in this video. So let's go. So guys, here we are back on the East Bank Public Road. This is the pedestrian overpass. That is the road to Georgetown. That is the East Bank Public Road looking north to Georgetown. And that's the arch. You can see the arch at Agricola. You've seen this view before. It's Saturday morning, Saturday the 22nd of November 2025. And this is what the traffic looks like at around 6 a.m. It's about 6:05, 5 minutes past 6 in the morning, Saturday, November 22nd. Here we are. We're looking at here to see the bridge. This is the new Bar Jackdale Demerara River Bridge. That is looking south on the East Bank Public Road, looking towards Timeri and Linden and points south along the river bank. And what is happening with the bridge? The question is, why is it not yet completed? As you can see, there is a crane on the top of the towers. That is the high span section. And at the top of both towers, there are still cranes, right? You can see there's another crane there at the top of the second tier of towers at the high span section. But the bridge has been in use for at least a month now. Somebody corrected me and said it was October 6th the bridge has opened. I thought it was September. In fact, it's correct. The bridge is open since October 6th. So the bridge has been open for a month and a half now. All right, so October 6th to 22nd of November is what, 16 days? A month and 16 days. So the bridge has been open for a month and a half, and already we're going to see some serious problems crop up. First of all, after a month and a half, the pedestrian walkway across the bridge has not yet been opened, and I believe that has to do something to do with this construction that is going on at the pillars. And secondly, there are a number of accidents, vehicular accidents occurring on the bridge. The last one occurred during a rain. It had just rained and the surface was wet. And there are pictures or video on Facebook and other social media showing a several vehicle pileup. At least 9 vehicles, about 3 trucks, and about 5 smaller vehicles, cars and pickups and so on. And we want to see what is causing. We want to examine that problem. Why are there so many accidents on the bridge? Now, some of you might recall that I actually said on one day when there was a heavy fog in the area that this could be a problem in the future. Fortunately, fogs don't happen very often here in Guyana. It happens at a very specific set of conditions. Because we are near to the river, the water, the surface of the water is much, much cooler than the land. All right, so that river is like a heat sink. And what happens is in summer, when the air temperature is hot and humid and stagnant, it's not really flowing, the air condenses over the river. That is, the moisture in the air condenses over the river to form a fog. And that is what causes, or caused, the last foggy situation in summer. I think it was this summer, past summer. However, it rains a lot, particularly in the May, June, and November, December periods. That means that the roads can be wet as it is now. I think it rained about half an hour ago. And this leaves the surface of the road wet and reduces traction, also causes hydroplaning. I've already pointed out in the past how some Guyanese don't really know how to drive on modern roads. When we saw that there were people who were reversing on the access road to the bridge back in October when the bridge first opened. But what happens now is that people are following too closely, right? They're tailgating and they're also speeding because the bridge, the design of the bridge doesn't communicate the idea that you need to be cautious. What do I mean by that? It means that the cues, the design cues for drivers leads them to believe that they could go at an unlimited speed even when the road is wet. What are some of these design cues? One is the width of the roads, the width of the lanes. So when the roads are wider, people tend to speed because they believe they're on an expressway, right? They're on a highway, but a bridge is not a highway, so not an expressway. There are certain rules that you need to observe when you're on the bridge, and you need to put those design cues into the bridge. For example, if you try to drive from New York to New Jersey, those of you who've driven through the Holland Tunnel and the Lincoln Tunnel, you will notice that they have put plastic poles, some bollards separating the lanes. So the lanes, even in the same direction, once you enter the tunnel, those lanes are separated by plastic poles. What that means is that it seems narrower, right? The lane that you have to navigate appears narrower. So these plastic poles stick up from the ground, from the center of the road, dividing the lanes, particularly at the entrance and at the exit, because you don't want people speeding through the tunnel, and certainly don't want them speeding out and into the tunnel. You want them to know that they've left the roadway and they're now in a tunnel. The same can be done. This is a design language. You put that design language into the road, into the bridge. If you put these bollards between the lanes, wherever there is that broken white line, that line is covered with these poles, then it gives the feeling that you're navigating a narrow space, and people tend to slow down when they're going through a narrow space. The same thing happens when cars are driving through a narrow street. So once you make the street wider, people start speeding. And that is the situation with the bridge. People are speeding because there is no cue, there is nothing in the design that communicates to them that they need to slow down when they're driving across the bridge. The second problem, of course, is the the speed, the signage. So part of the problem is education, and one of the ways to educate people is to put in what they call information signs. Sometimes those signs are lighted signs, flashing signs. If you drive into the tunnel, Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, and even George Washington Bridge, don't know which other bridges have this, or tunnels, but there are signs overhead, hanging signs, telling you which lanes are open with an arrow or an X, right? So the X telling you this lane is closed, or an arrow saying, there are flashing arrows saying this lane is open, also indicating the speed, and so on. So you need signs to tell people how to behave. So on a bridge like this, when the road is wet, you need signs that can change with the weather, with the conditions, that tell people to slow down. You know, so right now I think the bridge has a speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour, but under wet conditions, that speed limit could be reduced to less than that, half of that, 40 kilometers per hour, maybe less, 30 kilometers per hour. So the way to implement that is to put active signs. We're at Bagotstown now. This is the road from Bagotstown to Eccles Interchange. All right, we just left Eccles, and that's entering Bagotstown. Yes, guys, so the point is that you need to educate the public, and you need to do it both on a long-term basis and in the immediate conditions. So when the conditions change, when there's rain or fog, you need signs that tell people how to behave, slow down, or this lane is closed, or move over to the left or to the right, as the case might be. Those are active signs that you implement at a crossing, bridge or tunnel, or some other crossing, and they're for safety. Now, thankfully, nobody has died. At least I have not heard that anyone has died from these accidents on the Demerara River Bridge. But I'm guessing if this continues, at some point they're going to run out